Welcome to The Know, I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Gus Sorola.
Suicide Squad is out in theaters, it's having great weekends, and it's dropping way off. It's a real roller coaster, but that hasn't stopped Jared Leto from sowing a little bit of his own Crown Prince chaos for Warner Brothers out here in the real world.
Over the last couple of weeks, Leto has been strongly indicating that he was a bit upset by the studio's decision to remove the majority of his Joker scenes from Suicide Squad.
Just a little bit.
And now he stepped up his comments, going as far as to say he was tricked into starring in the movie.
This is the part where loads of moviegoers all tell Jared to join the club. You were not the only person who feels a little bit tricked from the trailers, buddy.
Leto's newest batch of complaints were aired during a Q&A session at a summer camp for fans of his band 30 Seconds to Mars. Was that? Is that real?
He's in a band. That's a thing that he does.
Ugh.
At some point, Leto ended up talking about Suicide Squad, with many of his comments transcribed by fans afterward. According to one report in particular, Leto said he felt sort of tricked into being a part of something that had been pitched to him very differently.
Maybe being duped into being in a DC movie is the updated version of The Killing Joke. Leto didn't stop there, however, no doubt due to the dismay of the folks over at Warner Brothers.
After saying he was tricked into playing the Joker, Leto went on to talk about his expectations for the movie and how it fell short of what he thought it was going to be, saying he was expecting a much more artistic film. I mean, so he hasn't paid attention to any of the DC movies so far, I guess?
A super mega blockbuster artistic $100 million budget movie?
That's how that works. Although he also said he hasn't seen it yet, so who even knows how he made that assessment?
I haven't seen it yet.
I know. I guess he didn't see it, and he was upset about what everyone was telling him about how he was portrayed in it, and so then he just decided to super not see it. I don't know.
I haven't seen it either. We're in the same club here, Jared. Call me.
It was watchable.
According to him, he hasn't seen it yet because he was so disappointed when he heard he wasn't in it all that much.
Poor baby. So it seems like normally these would be the types of things the actor would swallow gracefully, but this particular role was a little bit different. Most of that was because of the online hate that Leto endured over the look of the Joker.
About the internet's penchant for vitriol, Leto said he was overwhelmed by all the hate regarding the look and choices. And to be fair to him, he did step into an almost impossible task of following in Heath Ledger's clown shoes.
It's really hard to follow a dead guy. Even if you're really, really good, there's that hanging over you. But Heath Ledger was awesome. Although everyone did hate Heath Ledger before Heath Ledger was the Joker, they were like, this will never work. That 10 things I hate about you guy being the Joker, nah. And then he was awesome. You know, I guess Leto was a very specific interpretation of the Joker, and that was totally fine. It just,
it was a discussion point for a while.
Weird. Yes, a discussion point. That's a very polite way of putting it. As if the comments weren't enough to make the studio executives start pulling their hair out, Leto also reportedly spoke about some of his contract stipulations with Warner Brothers in the Q&A. Apparently, they banned him from participating in any kind of dangerous activities like rock climbing. Fair. But to which Leto said, fuck him.
Wow. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Although there are probably a lot of us who would be pissed too if we acted like a dick to everybody for a year and then found out we weren't actually in the movie very much. That's why you never go full method, people. It only ends badly.
Never go full method.
Yeah.
This, of course, isn't the first time Leto has voiced his complaints with his lack of screen time in Suicide Squad. He first expressed his disappointment and confusion about being left out of the film in an interview with IGN on basically the day the movie came out, in which he totally had not seen it, so who knows?
In that interview, Leto said, were there any that didn't get cut? I'm asking you, were there any that didn't get cut? There were so many scenes that got cut from the movie, I couldn't even start.
But Leto, I do have news for you. There were ones that didn't get cut because we ended up seeing them. Then he joked about how maybe if he died, they might actually release some of the footage.
Ew.
Then things got super awkward because the interviewer told Leto he hoped Leto wouldn't die soon, to which Leto cryptically replied, everybody dies.
That's the sequel to Everybody Poops. It was not nearly as popular.
But not everybody lives.
Yeah. Shortly after that, Leto concluded another interview about Suicide Squad in which the deleted scenes came up yet again. Leto took the bait that time too, stating that enough had been left on the cutting room floor to fill an entire movie with deleted Joker material.
But of course, Leto's not the only person upset that the Joker pulled a Houdini right out of the Suicide Squad's plot. Last week, we reported on a Reddit user who's suing Warner Brothers over false advertising. The main sticking point of his complaints is how much Leto was featured in the trailers, only to be present for like 15 minutes in the actual film.
The guy also claimed he can see in the dark, so it's not too likely his case is going to make it very far.
You don't know, his brother is a lawyer.
Maybe it's Night Court. But it does bring to light the issue that a totally different version of this movie was pitched to fans, and even to the actor himself. That movie included a whole lot more Joker, apparently.
Well, they went with the character that you recognize, the one whose face you know. and use that as like the hook to get you interested in the movie itself. It's not that surprising. While we can't verify whether or not Leto was actually legitimately tricked into playing Batman's arch nemesis, it's pretty painfully obvious that the needs of the production dramatically shifted right in the middle of the project. Ultimately, that shifting probably, well, shifted Leto right off the screen to make way for other material and maybe get the runtime down to a manageable 2 hours.
A number of reports and insider information over the last couple of weeks paint a rather bleak picture about how the movie was made, and from the sound of it, it was rushed from the word go, with director David Ayer and Warner Brothers both scrambling to get it finished in time.
Reading between the lines, it sounds like the movie may have even started filming before it was fully written, which is just about always a recipe for total disaster. It's often not until you finish the first draft that you're able to go back and see where the fat of the movie really is and then what needs to be cut or rewritten altogether. So I can see how that would happen from a production standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, sure, it's normal for a movie to have some deleted scenes for any number of production-related reasons. Suicide Squad seems to have an abnormally high amount of them. It's been documented on Reddit that there are at least 22 scenes cut from the film's early trailers.
But let's keep in mind, too, that by scenes, they mean really tiny clips. Like, there's one scene in the movie of Joker and Harley Quinn driving in a car, and in the trailer, it shows Joker punch the roof. That might not be in the movie, but the scene of him driving is absolutely in it. So when they say scenes, they
like
mean
a moment or
little,
a shot.
Yeah, moments. Which is very, very different. So scenes is a strong word. And when you add all of that to the reports that Warner Brothers suddenly ordered new content into the movie and a panic over the Batman v Superman reviews, then you've got a perfect storm for an overbloated movie that needs to lose a ton of fat and even potentially some not fat.
Yeah, get on that paleo. Unfortunately, the fat in this case seems to have been Jared Leto's Joker, which is sort of a crazy cut considering the Joker was one of the big draws from the movie early on. Much of the conversation around the film in its early days was primarily centered on what Leto would bring to the role, for better or worse. It was a discussion point, as I called it earlier.
Also, just saying, Suicide Squad, Joker's not on it. Anyone who's remotely familiar with the comic material would have known this. I'm not even familiar with the comic material, and I knew this. And Warner Brothers' solution to the whole question of how Leto would treat the Joker was to, really remove him from the equation altogether. Whether it was good or bad, they just didn't have that time. So now we'll see if they choose to bring him back for future movies, make him happy with a big old director's cut, which, let's be honest, is also really likely. That made the BVS 3 hours.
Damn.
And added a ton of extra scenes.
Damn.
So that's probably what'll happen.
Well, what do you guys think of Jared Leto saying he was tricked into being in Suicide Squad? Let us know in the comments.
And for future updates on the crazy goings-on of the DC Cinematic Universe, like this video and subscribe to The Know.
I like to think that there was a Warner Brothers executive who heard about Jared Leto getting all mad and called him and was like, Jared, why so serious? No?
No, yes.